Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thinking Crypto channel, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. Big updates around BlockFi and the SEC, my friends. BlockFi has to pay $100 million fine to the SEC, but we got some folks weighing in and calling the SEC out, including Hester Peirce, current sitting commissioner of the SEC, essentially dissenting. She put out a letter today, and I want to break down what she had to say. In addition, I'm going to be interviewing former SEC Commissioner Joseph Grundfest, who served under Ronald Reagan and who was the one who sent the letter to Jay Clayton and the commissioners at the time saying, don't file this lawsuit against Ripple because you will hurt innocent XRP holders. And we know what happened. So I'm going to be talking to him. That interview is coming up. And I'm also going to be interviewing former SEC official Joseph Hall, who I interviewed before. So I want to break all this down and a lots to go through. So before we get to it, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and hit the subscribe button if you're new here. It helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. If you're listening on a podcast site, please give me a 5-star rating. Quick word from our sponsors. First is Algorand, which is building the future of finance. Algorand is getting significant adoption and investment. It is one of the leading crypto projects in the industry, guys. So be sure to check them out. Link will be in the description. Also, TaxBit. They are the leading tax service provider in the crypto industry. It is a service I personally use. They make it so easy to do your taxes, guys. You just plug in your exchanges, it pulls the data out, and it spits out the forms for you, and you give it to your accountant. Super easy. And once again, I'm a user and I'll be using them again this year to do my taxes. So if you'd like to learn more, link will be in the description. All right, let's look at the market here. I wasn't going to talk about prices, but Bitcoin is having some sort of breakout right now. It is at $43,443. It's fluctuating a lot right now. But if we look at the the daily chart, we see some green candles forming here, which is awesome. Could this be the bounce upwards after this mini pullback? We'll have to wait and see, but we are certainly waiting for Bitcoin to do its retracement and to go up to about 55, 58,000 and then go down further into the bear market. Now, there are other theories out there that Bitcoin could continue to go up higher and hit new all-time highs. I'm thinking from a probability standpoint, that is not as likely as the first scenario I shared, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm going to be taking profits starting at that 55K mark, still holding on to some Bitcoin in the event that the secondary or the second scenario plays out of new all-time highs. But right now I'm being cautiously optimistic and I'm expecting Bitcoin to do its retracement and then the alts to pump essentially after that takes place. Now, here's what some analysts are saying, and this is a really cool chart here by Caleb Frenzen. He said, Bitcoin daily candles since October 2020. The red and white indicators use linear regression analysis to measure the slope of the regression on different time frames, slow versus fast. Crossovers are bullish/bearish depending on the direction. Bullish crossover happening now. Now, if you look at this chart, since the beginning of this bull market, or I should say since 2020, when Bitcoin did this cross, we saw a massive pump, obviously, right? And then when it crossed again at the top, we went into a bear. Then when it was a correction phase and it crossed, we went into another pump. And then when it hit the top and it crossed again, it corrected. And now we find ourselves in a correction where it's crossing again, indicating another move upwards. Now, of course, this is not guaranteed, but we can at least use the facts we have at hand today to make and form these respective theses. So fingers crossed for that pump. Once again, Bitcoin, I expect to do the retracement, top out about 55 to 58. But if it goes higher, I will be happy. I want higher prices, but I just want to be realistic and I want to be cautiously optimistic. And as mentioned, Bitcoin does this thing and then alt season. All right, let's jump into the news, guys. Here's the big headline. BlockFi will pay $100 million in settlement with the SEC, state regulators over high yield accounts. Guys, I'm really fired up about this. I'm very angry We know the SEC has been trying to screw crypto, specifically Gary Gensler, Goldman Gary. We've talked about it ad nauseum that he is essentially a puppet for the banking cartel. He's trying to put up roadblocks, slow down crypto because the money is leaving these major banks, which have had obviously control of the markets. They have had control of the money that's flowing and even investments, right? So now that money's leaving, people are putting their money into high yield, high interest paying accounts with crypto. They don't like that. They are the incumbents and they're trying to fight it. And they have these puppets like Gary Gensler in office. So the fact that they're doing this is really pathetic. I tweeted about it today. How dare you be able to earn high interest and yield on your funds outside of the banking cartel, outside of JP Morgan, outside of Citi, outside of Wells Fargo, whatever bank there is out there. So, I can't believe this. And Gary Gensler gets to line his pockets with half of this $100 million. The SEC gets $50 million and state regulators get $50 million. This is pathetic. And as you can imagine, they're going to go after Celsius and Nexo and these other folks. It's really unbelievable what's happening. So the company has been under investigation since at least November over the lending product, which offers yield as high as 9.5%. So let me give you some more details. The settlement, as described by Bloomberg, does not appear to affect existing accounts. BlockFi will also pay another $50 million to various state regulators, according to the report. The BlockFi interest accounts have faced scrutiny from securities regulators in New Jersey, Texas, Kentucky, Alabama, and Vermont over the offering. Several of these states planned or issued cease and desist orders to part of their investigations through 2021. Now, I'm in New Jersey, and so I got emails, I'm sure many of you did, about not being able to deposit new money into certain accounts and that things are going to be switched over. This really sucks. And I know some folks actually emailed me. I know some of you who are listeners and viewers email me about this. And I'm actually in the process of setting up an interview with the folks at BlockFi so that we can hear from them as far as next steps. But my recommendation would be to contact them if you have specific questions, because I don't have all the answers. But they may pump the brakes on some of these offerings, and you may not be able to deposit additional funds, or they may tell you to move your funds into different types of accounts. So when asked about the report of the settlement, a BlockFi spokesperson would only say, "We have been in productive ongoing dialogue with regulators at a federal and state level. We do not comment on market rumors. We can confirm that clients' assets are safeguarded and on the BlockFi platform, and BlockFi interest accounts will continue to earn crypto interest as they always have." So, guys, Gensler out of control, and he needs to be stopped. And this is why I keep saying, keep calling your representatives, keep emailing, keep tweeting, make content, put out videos, write blog posts, do what you need to do, guys. Because this is a fight. We're going to have to fight. And the more we make our voices heard, the more these representatives will hear us, as they did with the infrastructure bill situation, even with the SEC lawsuit against Ripple. Many folks in Congress and in the industry started recognizing this, and even media people, right, like Fox Business, folks at Forbes, and they started covering it. And we need them to hear our voices, because it will put pressure on Gensler, it will put pressure on Congress. And the bigger this thing gets, the worse it will make Gary Gensler and the SEC look. So we had a variety of folks weighing in. Even Hester Peirce at the SEC, she tweeted out today, thoughts on the BlockFi settlement. And it's really insightful what she had to say. So I'm going to do my best to cover some of this, not the whole thing, because it's a lot to read through. But she said here, a lot of securities lawyers will nod, yes, I saw this coming, in response to today's settlement with BlockFi Lending LLC, also known as BlockFi, a company taking in crypto from a wide range of investors and promising returns would implicate the securities laws in several ways. Today's settlement tags that arrangement as both an investment contract with Howey and a note under Reeves. On top of that, the settlement deems BlockFi an unregistered investment company. Lurking behind the legal analysis, however, is an important question. Is the approach we are taking with crypto lending the best way to protect crypto lending customers? I don't think it is, so I respectfully dissent. Thank you, Hester Peirce. At least somebody there at the SEC has some common sense. She said here, as an initial matter, it is difficult to understand how the civil penalty will protect investors. Remember, BlockFi hasn't hurt anybody. BlockFi hasn't scammed anybody. People have been earning the interest, getting paid, and so forth. So the SEC fined them and then is telling them to shut off one of their products. This is really ridiculous. So BlockFi will pay the SEC $50 million and will pay another $50 million in connection with state settlements for the for the same conduct. While penalties this size are intended to deter bad conduct, there is no allegation that BlockFi failed to pay its customers the money due to them or failed to return the crypto lent to them. No fraud, no scams. Just what I said at the beginning. How dare you earn high yield and interest outside of JP Morgan and Citibank and the banking cartel? That's what's happening here, my friends. BlockFi's misrepresentations and about over-collateralizations are serious, but the combined $100 million penalty nevertheless seems disappropriate. So has BlockFi had some issues where they were asked to present certain information and so forth? They did, and that should be addressed. But the heavy hand that is coming down here, that screams of something entirely different. It's like, for example, JP Morgan, all these banks get penalties, right, for money laundering or doing something with people's accounts, but they don't get shut down. They don't say, hey, you need to close this product now. They just pay their, I don't know, $50 million fine or $500 million fine or whatever it is, and they move on. But the fact that they're doing this to BlockFi shows, once again, this is an incumbent coming in and saying, hey, stop this. This is competing with the legacy financial products. So the piece of the settlement aimed at getting important information to customers is more understandable from a retail protection standpoint. Customers who lend crypto assets to a company in exchange for a promised return should get the information they need to assess the risks against the rewards. A company offering crypto lending services could offer the information voluntarily as a way to gain and retain customers. For those companies that do not provide the information on their own, a self-regulatory or government regulatory framework might make sense. Securities law is one regulatory framework through which one could force transparency. This settlement seeks to do just that. The order instituting proceedings states that BlockFi's parent company has announced that it confidentially submitted a draft registration statement on Form S1. If this registration statement becomes effective, it will afford BlockFi customers helpful transparency. So that's fine. If you want to say, hey guys, you need to put these things in place, file the proper paperwork, and provide your customers with more transparency. But why are you coming down with this huge fine? This screams of, once again, mob tactics, shakedown. And it's like Greg Kidd said, who's an investor in Ripple, founder of Uphold and so forth, that it's Tony Soprano, right? Going around shaking down companies, which is pathetic, man. So Jake Traversky, who's a lawyer in the crypto industry, tweeted out the following regarding what Commissioner Peirce put out. He said, Commissioner Peirce eloquently dissents and identifies the main issue with the BlockFi settlement. The risk of the SEC saying you can offer this product if you register first, but then refusing to allow the registration, an SEC rug pull. That's a good way to put it, if you will. Let's hope that's not what this is. And it certainly, it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, right? So it must be a duck here. It just the mob shakedown, guys. And I don't know if they're trying to make an example of BlockFi, but this is pathetic. Now, Eric Voorhees, who's certainly a crypto legend, OG, he's the founder of ShapeShift, He tweeted out, "It's disgraceful that regulators are stealing $100 million from BlockFi. They did nothing wrong. They harmed nobody. They built a great company that provides a service customers love." He said here, "The absurdity of penalizing an innovative company that offers 8% yield on the dollar while inflation ravages people's savings. Welcome to the USSA." So obviously mimicking USSR, right? He's right, man. And this is why Congress needs to step in and stop the SEC. This is getting out of hand. And I hope they do it before, some of these companies go out of business or something, because they're looking to come down with a heavy hand. And then Eric Voorhees also tweeted out the following: "Surely the $100 million will go to pay back the victims, right? Oh, wait, there weren't any victims. BlockFi didn't scam anybody. They weren't running some fraud or something like that." So it's just, it makes me so upset. But guys, we'll keep fighting. We'll keep making content. And I've got some great interviews coming up. And we're going to talk about BlockFi and as well as Ripple with former SEC Commissioner Joseph Grundfest, who served under Ronald Reagan. And he was the one who sent the letter to Jay Clayton and the SEC commissioners not to file the Ripple lawsuit because of the implications, given the conflict of interest statements with Bill Hinman giving Ethereum a free pass. Not to mention, you hurt innocent XRP holders, which they did, not only in the United States, but globally. So we know what's happening there in the lawsuit and so forth. And guys, I'm also going to be bringing back former SEC official Joseph Hall. Many of you may recall my interview with him from last year in February, and I'll put a link in the description to that interview if you haven't seen it. But he's also one that was like, this made no sense. What are they doing? What is the SEC doing here? That this is just really ridiculous that they're trying to hurt, they're going to hurt XRP holders. So you're just seeing former SEC officials are just not on board with this nonsense. And it goes back to what we've been talking about, conflicts of interest. And that was the motive. These guys are getting paid under the table, Clayton and William Hinman. And all of that right now is being investigated by various folks. We got Fox Business doing an investigative journalism. We have Empower Oversight, the whistleblower organization, nonprofit, of course, that is, doing all kinds of FOIA requests and suing the SEC. And we got John Deaton representing XRP holders. So things are moving in the right direction. I think I'm trying my best to get these folks to amplify their voices. So once again, the optics look very bad for Gensler and the SEC, and more pressure. The Congress needs to fix this because this is getting out of hand. There's something else that came out today, but I'm still trying to verify if it's legit, about Gary Gensler and Hillary Clinton, and he was the CFO of her campaign and some accusations there. But I don't want to go into that yet because I need to research that and verify it myself. But things are not looking too good for Gary Gensler. Now, speaking of the SEC, and as we are right now, Barry Silbert weighed in on the SEC Bitcoin ETF applications. Obviously, Grayscale, or Digital Currency Group, which owns Grayscale, they're trying to convert the GBTC trust to a Bitcoin ETF. Barry tweeted out, "It is time for the SEC to allow a spot-based Bitcoin ETFs. Make your voice heard and submit a comment on the GBTC conversation filing below." And he retweeted Eric Balkanis of Bloomberg, who's talking about the ETFs and Grayscale's plan to convert it. Now, if there's one company that is really in a strong position to get a Bitcoin ETF, it is Grayscale, because they're running this trust and they've had a good track record so far. And then they partner with BNY Mellon for custody. So they've been putting all the respective elements that they need to improve their application and get approved. But it goes back to my comments before. The incumbents are fighting hard. They have a puppet in Gary Gensler sitting in the SEC as the chair. So he knows that this will suck capital from the traditional assets into crypto. Those guys don't like that. And I'm sure Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley and these guys would love to get their ETF approved first so they can suck back all the money in to their ETF and the ones that are sitting on the sidelines. But they wouldn't like Grayscale to get this first. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. But this is just another failure on Gary Gensler's part. I want to wrap it up here with Ron Hemmen from the Blockchain Association, who I've interviewed. He gives weekly updates on the crypto progress in Washington, D.C. Really good stuff. I highly recommend following him. He has a great pulse on what's going on there. He said, this week in Congress and crypto, as crypto reels from the mainstream exposure of the Super Bowl, Capitol Hill keeps working hard to understand more. This week is the Senate Banking Committee hearing on the Presidential Working Group and stablecoins. Here's what to expect. 1, last week, the House Financial Services Committee had a similar hearing with Nellie Liang of the President's Working Group. Major takeaway was that many House Democrats disagree with the notion banks can only issue stablecoins, and stablecoins need reserves that are similar to cash/equivalents. He said the House hearing, number 2, the House hearing was very substantive and showcased months of educational efforts from a large variety of industry groups, regulators, and other members of Congress. Stablecoin regulation is certainly the crypto issue with the most legs legislatively for 2022. Of course, stablecoins will take a lot of the power back from these banks, even the central bank. People, going into USDC or Tether or whatever else and moving that outside of the existing banking rails. So number 3, like many complex issues, the House is farther along in understanding and policy positions than the Senate. But that doesn't mean this Tuesday hearing isn't important. So apparently there's a hearing tomorrow. Many senators have been looking at stablecoins and CBDCs for some time, so expect in-depth questions. Ranking member Senator Toomey is an important person to watch as he recently released his principles for stablecoin regulation. Major themes include non-banks issuing stablecoins, a special purpose charter for non-banks, and clarity on the role of the states. Now, I'm trying to get an interview with Senator Toomey, but obviously with these hearings, he's been very busy. His schedule is packed, but I'll get him, guys. I'm in contact with his people. Number 5, other major themes to expect will be interoperability with other stablecoins and CBDCs, the need of stablecoins versus a CBDC, preservation of privacy, the potential of a bank run, transparency of reserves, and quality of reserves backing stablecoins. Other major players to be on the lookout for is Senator Cynthia Lummis, who I've interviewed on the channel, who has noted Wyoming's special purpose depository institution's role along the lines of 100% of stablecoin reserves being maintained off balance sheet or requiring reserves to be held at the Fed. And a couple more updates. He said number 7, as with most Senate banking hearings, Senator Elizabeth Warren will likely be the focus of media attention after the hearing. Important to see if she backs the President's Working Group recommendation of banks only issuing stablecoins or pivots to CBDC being the preferred route. We'll see what she has to say. She's another bonehead we got to get out of office. Number 8, one thing is certain, while there is a lot of legislative action occurring around stablecoins in the House, it is important to not forget the Senate. Over the next few weeks, time will tell if the major legislative players can come together on a bipartisan and bicameral bill. So things are progressing, guys. This is more activity than we've ever seen in DC around crypto. So we're headed in the right direction. There is a sense of urgency, it seems like, especially with other countries like Russia, Putin coming out and saying, hey, we got an advantage when it comes to Bitcoin mining, and we're going to regulate crypto. We're not banning it. And then you're just seeing a global movement towards the same goal, guys, of regulating crypto. So things are moving ahead here. Sometimes I wish they would move faster, but we need Congress to really step in and stop the SEC. As the news, they're going to go after exchanges next. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll hopefully Congress steps in time to stop this, guys. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this news? Let me know what you think. Also, if you have questions for me to ask former Commissioner Joseph Grundfest and former SEC official Joseph Hall, please leave them in the comment section, or you can email it to me or shoot them over to me on Twitter. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up button, share this video. And if you're listening on a podcast site, please give me a 5-star rating. Really appreciate it. Thank you all, and I'll talk to you all later.